Welcome to this explainer on the hidden software trend eating your RAM. Let's jump right in, because if you've noticed your PC acting a little sluggish lately, well, you are definitely not alone. Maybe just switching between your basic chat windows feels like your computer is trying to render a Pixar movie. Today, we're unraveling a pretty massive mystery happening right under our noses. It's this hidden software trend quietly devouring your system memory, right at the exact moment when the cost to upgrade that memory is going straight through the roof. It's a perfect storm of hardware economics and software development, and honestly, it's pretty frustrating once you see what's actually going on. To really understand why this matters so much, we have to look at what's happening in the hardware market right now. Check out this 32GB RAM kit's price comparison. Last July, picking up an ATA 32GB kit would have set you back maybe $80. Not bad, right? Fast forward to today, and that exact same kit costs about $520. That is an absolutely insane price jump of over 400% in less than a year. Computer memory is appreciating faster than gold, and that makes the whole software side of this story so much more painful. Because the financial sting here is very real for everyday users. According to one frustrated user in our sources, a single 16GB stick of RAM is currently going for around $160. When system memory costs that much, every single megabyte is premium real estate. You'd think, right, that software developers would be doing absolutely everything they could to make their apps lean, efficient, and super respectful of your very expensive RAM. But are they? Which brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. Why are lightweight messaging apps suddenly acting like heavy software? Think about it. We're talking about basic text and image chat apps. These are programs that used to run perfectly on ancient potato-tier laptops. Yet today, they are somehow bogging down high-end gaming rigs. What exactly changed in how these everyday Windows apps are built to make them so incredibly greedy for your resources? Well, the evolution of WhatsApp perfectly illustrates this problem. Look at the difference here. The older version of WhatsApp was built on something called UWP. That's Microsoft's native framework. It was snappy, highly optimized, and used maybe 100 to 250 megabytes of RAM tops, even when you're blasting messages. But the new version? It easily eats up over 400 megabytes just sitting idle in the background, and it balloons to over a gigabyte the second you actually open it to check a text. That is literally a 5x increase. Even on powerhouse PCs with 32 gigs of RAM, people are actually feeling lag just clicking between their chats. So what is the actual culprit behind this massive software bloat? Well, it's a technology called web wrappers, specifically frameworks you might have heard of like Electron or WebView2. Essentially, when you install the new WhatsApp or Discord or Teams, you aren't actually installing a traditional desktop app anymore. What you're installing is an entire separate Chromium web browser that's just wearing a clever disguise to look like an app. So every single one of these programs is running its own completely independent web browser engine in the background of your PC. And here's the thing, browser engines are heavy, really heavy. Because of this web wrapper tech, incredibly popular apps like Discord and Microsoft Teams are easily chewing up a full 1 gigabyte of your RAM each. And the kicker, that's often just to keep them running in the background. Every time you click into a new server on Discord, it's basically the equivalent of opening a brand new, resource-heavy tab in Chrome. Teams is the exact same story. It swapped over to WebView2 and basically overnight became a massive memory hog. Now, let's walk through how this turns into a total nightmare for your everyday workflow. Step 1, you boot up your PC and open Discord to see what your friends are up to. Step 2, you open Teams because, well, you have to work. Step 3, you launch WhatsApp to text your family. The result of that completely basic routine? Boom. About 3 gigabytes of your system memory is just instantly gone. And keep in mind, that's before you've even opened your actual web browser, loaded up a Word doc, or even thought about launching a game. The sheer absurdity of this is wild when you compare it to actual web browsing. In tests, if you open a regular browser like Chrome or Edge and fire up 25 heavy tabs, we're talking YouTube, TikTok, news sites, AI tools like ChatGPT, it uses roughly 1.6 gigabytes of RAM. Now compare that to a single standalone web wrapper chat app like WhatsApp or Zalo. Just one of those apps demands around 1 gigabyte all by itself, just to send some basic text messages. So one chat app is demanding almost the exact same amount of memory as 25 full active web pages. So why on earth do developers keep doing this? Well, imagine a little stick figure developer up there taking the easy route. For them, web wrappers are practically magic. Instead of writing different code for every operating system, they just write one single JavaScript codebase, and boom, it works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. They don't have to hire specialized engineers for each platform. Development is way cheaper, it's much faster, and the user interface looks identical no matter what computer you're on. They save a ton of time and money, but they are passing the entire performance cost directly onto you and your expensive hardware. But look, it absolutely does not have to be this way. It's a choice. On one hand, you have Discord, the lazy web wrapper we talked about, hogging about 1 GB of RAM. But on the other hand, you have Telegram. Telegram is built as a truly native C++ application. It's incredibly fast, heavily optimized, and barely sips 250 megabytes of memory, even when it's running quietly in the background. It's proof that if developers actually prioritize performance over convenience, they can deliver an amazingly smooth experience without stealing all your RAM. And the tech community is definitely noticing this shift, and they are not thrilled. One user in the sources completely nailed it, saying, "Optimization is getting worse, apps just bloat up instead of shrinking." And it's true, major companies are just abandoning native apps left and right. Meta killed the old WhatsApp, Messenger is barely a shadow of a native app on the Microsoft Store anymore, and everything is just morphing into these heavy, unoptimized web shells. Honestly, it feels like we're moving backward when it comes to software efficiency. The real-world consequence of all this bloat is pretty severe. As another user pointed out, a laptop with 8 GB of RAM is currently on life support. And if you're an average user just trying to get by on an older machine, or maybe a budget laptop where that 8 gigs of RAM is soldered right to the motherboard and can't be upgraded, you are basically drowning. Now, Apple's strict optimization makes 8 gigs perfectly fine on a Mac, but 8 gigs on a modern Windows machine running all these web wrapper apps? It is an absolute nightmare. To really put this into perspective, our source ran a real-world multitasking test. They set up a pretty standard office scenario. 25 browser tabs open, a 4K video playing on the side, and those essential chat apps open in the background. The result? The system blew right past 16 gigabytes of RAM usage. And remember, that is without even touching heavy professional software like Premiere Pro or launching a modern PC game. Which brings us to the ultimate verdict, the new RAM reality for Windows users today. Let's break it down. 8 gigabytes, that is strictly for basic Word and Excel and nothing more. 16 gigabytes, which honestly used to be the gold standard, is now the struggling minimum if you want to multitask with these modern chat apps. But if you want a genuinely smooth experience where you aren't constantly forced to micromanage your background apps, 32 gigabytes is absolutely the new comfortable standard. So let's wrap this up with a big provocative question. If a 32 gigabyte RAM kit is fitting a staggering $520 and software developers just keep leaning on these lazy, unoptimized web wrappers to save themselves a buck, where does that leave us? Are average users soon going to be entirely priced out of a basic, smooth computing experience? It's a massive hardware and software tug of war, and right now, the consumer is definitely the one losing ground. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it helped clear up exactly why your PC might be feeling the burn lately. Think about it, and I'll catch you in the next one.
If you enjoy this video, click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.